Okay.
I forget what we were looking at here. Oh, we'll look at this one.
Yeah, we can start. Yes, it's okay. We can start now.
Oh.
I'm ready.
Oh, okay.
See action.
Oh, action then.
I just forgot what we were talking about though.
No, it's larger.
So we've defined our device, right? And now we need to define our instruments. So we need to add the instruments. We're adding a parameter analyzer, and we're going to add 2 SMUs to it. So I'm just going to call them SMU1, and we're using. So now SMU1's been added up here, you can see, and then here we have to pick what model name that we're using.
4155B. Yeah.
Okay. And then under the address, do you know what address it's at?
It's 20.
20?
Yep.
Okay. And then on the custom tab, 41, those have 4 SMUs. So I'm just going to say that that's SMU1. And then I'm going to add another one, SMU2. I could have called these anything. To make my life easier, I'm going to copy the settings from SMU1.
Okay.
And in doing that, the model is already set and the address is already set. And all I need to do now is go to custom and say that SMU2 is actually at SMU2.
Okay.
Now if this was a FET, I could have called these, instead of SMU1 and 2, I could have called them gate or drain, I could have called them anything I really want. So they're just virtual names defining that parameter analyzer. And are we just using 2 today?
Maybe
Okay.
later he needs more.
That's not over, I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
Create a new
I mean, we can, so for instance, in preparation for the FET, I'm just going to go ahead and add the other 2.
Okay.
So I've added SMU3, and I'm going to add SMU4. I have to pick parameter analyzer, copy settings from SMU3, just change that to SMU4. So now you can see up here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 SMUs.
So it's up to 4 SMU?
As many as you want. You could have 100. So, but there's only 4 on that instrument. But if you could be adding additional instruments here from other pieces of equipment. So let's say you had a separate power supply, you could add that as well. So I'm going to go back. Clicking here goes back to SMU1. You can see it's 4145 for SMU1, 2, 3, 4. You can also look over here in the application status and see that we've defined 4 SMUs and their addresses, what their output is, and so forth. So, okay. So now we have 4 SMUs defined. So if you remember, we went in, we created our device, right?
So you don't add the prober over there?
I will in just a second. Yeah.
Okay.
So right now, just sort of focusing on, we've got our 4 SMUs. We've got our device. And now we need to connect the 2 of them. So I'm going to add a connection setup. That was this one right here. So the connection, we'll call this is the device just, it's basically just metallization on a substrate, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'll just call it. So I'm just going to call it that. If we had multiple devices, we would have to pick which device this connection setup's made on, based on. In fact, I'm going to cancel this just to show you. I'm going to come back here, just in preparation for later on. I'm going to add a FET 2 gates. I'm just going to add another device. I think I have a FET in here. Use this one for a moment. So now, in terms of devices, I've actually got 2 devices here. When when I go to do the connection setup, call it silicon, right? You can see I could have based it on either of the devices, so I'm going to base it on the end silicon device. And now the terminals appear here; those come from your device. If we had made our own device, we could have called it whatever we wanted. We could have called it topside metal, we could have called it back of the wafer, whatever. And then the connection, this is where we say we'll use SMU1 on the input, and if we wanted, we could use SMU4 on the output. But I'm assuming you've got it SMU1 and SMU2, is that correct? Okay. So now we've made our connection setup. This area here, we don't need because we don't have a switch matrix. This would have been where you would go in and make your switch matrix connections, but since we don't have one, we don't have to complete any of this. So all we need to do is just map the device to the instrument for findings. So that's all done now. And it's just telling me that there's no connection commands, and that's fine. Ignore this notification if you're not using the switch matrix.
So we shouldn't add connection here.
I'm sorry?
We shouldn't add connection here.
No, we did. It's just that there's no command. What it was warning me is that there's no commands here for the switch matrix per se.
Oh, it's for switch matrix.
Yeah, these commands here might come from adding a command for a switch matrix.
I see.
Okay.
So if we mistakenly add like connection, it will get confused because I have done connection here too. Like adding connection.
Oh, you went down here?
Yeah.
Oh, no. So you don't need to do this.
I see.
You don't really need to do this. This would be, these commands